The Star Beast is generally considered the weakest of the 60th specials. It has a massive task of celebrating Doctor Who, introducing Doctor Who to Disney Plus and pleasing fans, ones new to the show and ones old. Did it do its job? And is it actually an underrated treasure? I remember when the episode was broadcast, the pure excitement leading up to the specials, and this episode did not disappoint. With all the buzz now having died down, I can now appreciate the episode far more without all the buzz clouding it. The recap was maybe a bit odd at first, but it was fairly informative and hooking, catching up new viewers while keeping both new and old fans and viewers interested. After the recap, I was breathtaken. The visuals in the Jodie Whittaker era were some of the best the show has had, and the Star Beast was surprisingly able to exceed that. The lighting and mood of that first scene was just so well done. Speaking of which, the Doctor's first meeting with Donna. It is both hilarious, but also deeply dark. From Donna's perspective, some random guy started helping her before running off. Yet the Doctor's perspective is that she could die at any moment so long as he is present. It is a subtle way to raise the stakes from the get-go without having to set them, and it's just a genius way to do it. The character of Rose is someone I think would resonate a lot with younger people in the audience. I won't touch upon all the trance stuff for too long, as I wouldn't say I'm well versed enough in trance to speak about that. But I think it is great the show is expanding on diversity. Doctor Who has always tried to be an informative and inclusive show, even if it didn't always succeed at that. And especially in Russell's first era, he always did a great job of bringing up anti-agendas against different types of people and just showing the larger spectrum of the human mind. In Human Nature and Family of Blood, Mother has to put up with racism, and I'd say Doctor Who is one of the few shows that can get away with stuff like that, because it portrays it in a historical or informative view. In that situation, it shows how the world wasn't accepting of black people as we are now. And in this situation with Rose having to put up with transphobic remarks, I think it will be relatable to a lot of people, and not just in the form of trans people, but for others they may relate to it due to bullying. And Rose acts as the connection to the younger audience, and it is a shame they haven't done more with her. I'm not saying you need to make her being trans the front and centre of her character, but including her more, showcasing her troubled life, is something I'd like to see. The visual effects at the Steamworks as well were where the visual effects started to get a bit iffy due to the fire. But the atmosphere of the episode really makes it a distinct experience compared to older episodes. Speaking of the steelworks, that entire scene with the Doctor was fabulous. The Doctor usually goes in as if he's the boss of the place, so with him taking a more stealthy approach is something I'd like to see more of. It allows visual storytelling to take the spotlight with only minimal exposition lines. Although that line about the ship parking was maybe a bit unnecessary, but it may have helped things be a bit clearer to the younger kids watching at home. Now, the scene with the nobles at their home was an important part to the story. This was the scene that allowed everyone watching to connect. For the younger people, they could connect to Rose. For the parents, they could connect to Donna. For the elderly, they could connect to Sylvia. It was just a well-crafted scene. Donna letting Rose go off and do her own thing, but still be there for her when things get tough, is something I can personally very much relate to. As for Sylvia getting a bit confused when it comes to all the terms and sexism she's concerned about, that is something I struggle with as well. For me, it is pronouns. I am still trying to include they, them, their pronouns into my vocabulary, but it is something I do try to work on. Alongside also bringing alternate gender identities into full acknowledgement into my mind, as Maestro being non-binary went completely over my head during the Devil's Chord. It took until people were talking about them being non-binary for me to realise my mistake. I do try my best, but it will take time, and that is something about this scene that resonates with me. Especially in the world of social media, where if you say something even slightly outside the general acceptance, you pretty much just become cancelled. As for Donna's moment about talking about something missing, that is something that is fairly touching but heartbreaking. And Catherine Tate gives an incredible performance, making the scene just even better than it already was. Now, Beep the Meep. I think this is where people focus on the special, and I'd say this special is more focused on the characters rather than the story, and that is okay. The story doesn't always have to be the driving force of your writing, it can be the characters. For me, I'm not the best at crafting a story, but I can write characters and character dynamics fairly well. The Meep storyline acts more as a plot device to move the special and advance the character's development, compared to being a major part of the story. And I think this is where people struggle. The Meep storyline is very fast paced and it feels like we are jumping scenes. But then contrast that with Donna and the Doctor's storyline and they are paced about perfectly. Meep is still enjoyable when the Meep is on screen. The entire scene in the shed is so heartbreaking. The Meep knows they are toys, but acting as if the Meep doesn't know makes it so heartbreaking and sad to watch, even if the Meep is in reality pure evil. Oh, and also big up for Sylvia trying to hold it together when the Meep was revealed to Donna. That entire scene was just absolutely priceless. Unfortunately, the Meep storyline after the scene where the Meep's paw is bandaged sort of falls apart once everyone gets in a taxi. After that, the special realises, oh, we're a little behind and need to advance the plot. So all of a sudden, we have instantly transitioned from Act 2 into Act 3. And it is very noticeable, not helped by, outside of the Meep being cute and giving heartbreaking or cute moments, we barely have a connection to the Meep. So the revelation he's evil comes off as a bit empty and meaningless. Yet strangely, the Wrath Warrior's reveal of actually being good actually makes you feel something. I assume it's because they have been painted as the purest of evil by the Meep, but because the Meep has very little development, it makes the Meep's reveal less impactful. It is still a good reveal, but because we have to jump from one act to another, it means we lack a transitionary scene to ease the jump. Even just a scene where the nobles or the Doctor are asking the Meep about the Meep's past while in the taxi would have added loads to making the Meep's reveal be more impactful, while also easing the transition from the escape of the road battle to the court in the car park. Speaking of the road battle, can I just say it is an incredibly shot scene. The Disney budget is really shining here. The budget in the stories has been used to enhance the story rather than show off what they can do, and it assists the Star Beast greatly. And the road battle scene is a prime example of this. The danger of the battle leaps at you in ways the show hasn't really done before. Even something like Star Wars, where battles are an inevitable thing, hasn't really done before either, and I believe this comes down to how it was shot and the effects. I believe also the destruction of the noble house assists with the danger feeling real. Our main characters are on the literal edge of death, and I'd argue the danger feels more real here than it did with the Dalek going rogue in Dalek. Anyway, back to the third act. The third act was where the story started getting its footing again. Rewatching the episode finally made me realise that the Meep was choosing which one of the nobles and the Doctor to eat first, which sounds less threatening than probably just ordering their execution, but in reality it is more gruesome. Just storytelling wise, it feels very much like something out of a children's fairy tale with a big bad, which pulls away from the threat of the Meep, unfortunately. Also, Shirley coming in to rescue the nobles and Doctor, massive highlights. I don't have much to say on Shirley though. She's been great when she appears, but she doesn't have much to her character yet, which I do hope she's expanded upon in The War Between the Land and the Sea, and just in the future of the show in general. Anyway, when Donna started going to help the Doctor and even referred to him by his name, was again another genius way to build to build suspense that could have just gone over your head. Sylvia pointing it out is something I think some people would have been annoyed with, and it annoyed me a little bit, but I am glad it was there, as Donna unknowingly calling the doctor would have gone over my head if it wasn't for her pointing it out. Now, the Doctor trying to sabotage the Meep's ship was a good scene. You just see his desperation and almost annoyance that Donna is there when he needs to sabotage everything. All the while, it becomes harder to do so, and you see that annoyance grow more and more. Not annoyed at Donna, but annoyed that she might die at any moment, especially with everything going on that night, until he is forced to restore her memories, and it is an utterly shattering scene. You know the Doctor doesn't want to, but he has no choice. Anyway, once the Doctor Donna returns, it is full steam ahead in a fabulous moment, and afterwards when the Donna is in the Doctor's arms dying, it's just so well done. Also, the Metacrisis passing down to those, just genius. Although the man bashing at the end, it's a bit, especially against the Doctor, who has been both male and female. Also, the Meep having the boss is again, he's established as the leader of the Meeps, so him actually having a boss feels very strange, unfortunately. Anyway, the ending. Massive cliffhanger, Wolf setup, pure joy. Oh, and madness. Also, side note, I am unsure how to feel about the shields. On one hand, I think they are pretty good with storytelling in that situation, but it hasn't been used since, so aside from that one situation, what was the point? I think the Star Beast was a good juicy bit of nostalgia to hook old viewers back while doing a good job at explaining the situation to new viewers. However, it suffered from pacing issues. When the plot needed to advance, it would push forward jarringly, as if you were on a rough-riding passenger train, being jolted whenever the train slows down or speeds up. And while it did focus a lot on the characters, it felt the need to push the plot without it being very relevant to the characters until the end where Donna's memory has to be restored. Which is an issue with the Meep as well. The Meep isn't a character in the episode, the Meep is a plot device. The Meep isn't developed enough to make the Meep's revelation meaningful, but then the Meep gets underused after that, so it hardly matters anyway. The episode kept jumping from pushing characters to plot to characters. Until the late second act and early third act, its pacing was pretty good, and then because the plot needed advancing, it made the jumps that jolt the story. The budget was also put to good use. It wasn't the highlight, but when it wanted to do its grandiose moments, it was done to a way to add to the story. And when it was really put into action, it was a way to enhance the story, which is how it should be. I'd say this episode is fairly underrated and is overshadowed by the other two specials, when in reality it is a very good episode with some flaws. But going into the episode for the story isn't the path to take. Go into the episode for the characters. And as a character-focused story, it is undeniably a hidden gem, although it's no Midnight or Heaven Sent or Wild Blue Yonder. Hello, you can leave the video now unless you want to listen to me blabber a bit. I do hope to make this a weekly series on the channel, going over Doctor Who episodes and reviewing them. I would like to do the classic series and 2005 to 2022 series, but I'll do the Disney era first before getting to them, especially because I have some big words for the Giggle and Season 1 finale. If you know me, then you know what's coming on with my thoughts on them. So then, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.